Ready to get started?
Almost. So when are you gonna shave that beard?
This? Oh, this is my playoff beard. I'm not shaving it until I lose in the playoffs.
You're not in the playoffs.
Wait, yeah, but I haven't lost a playoff game in 5 years. I want to keep it going.
Yeah. And we're back. It was a fun first round.
It was a couple wild matchups. Where do you want to begin?
We'll start with Jasmus versus Zach. Christian McCaffrey's good, huh?
Yeah, I think we talked about how the first time he played the Cardinals this year, he got 48 points. Didn't do as good this time, only 41.
Yeah, that's still just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's so good. Dak didn't do much.
No.
For the first time in a while. They kind of got steamrolled by Buffalo. But, I mean, CD still did good. Devontae did good. Back half didn't do as good, but when you get like a 40 bomb, you're usually doing pretty good in your playoff matchup.
Yeah.
Or any matchup.
That's a pretty big advantage.
Jasmus also had some good weeks. Cup put up 25. CEH shows why he was that number one pick a few years back, 20 points.
Ironically, it was Zach who picked him.
It was.
So maybe a little bit CEH revenge game.
Amari Cooper with 20, but Fields only had 9. Could have had way more if Mooney and Robert Tonyan could catch the ball.
Yeah. But that's why you throw to Cole Kmet and not Bob Tonyan.
Yeah. Achan didn't really do much. And Najee, yuck. Eckler, 5 carries for 9 yards. Not super impressive.
Yeah, but that was also they were getting their doors blown off by 50 at the time, so can understand
True.
why they moved away from the run.
True. And then we go to the big matchup. The fun one.
Me versus Cherry.
Trevor versus Steve. The Monday night, whatever it's called.
Football?
No. The thing.
Space?
Yeah.
That was a blast.
That was like the most fun I've had watching football like all year. It's again, like I haven't seen a lot of the guys in a while. Like I see you, I see Jasmus now and then, but like everybody else, like Trevor, Griff now even I don't see a ton. All the like old Rhode Island guys, not Massachusetts guys, whatever. Don't see them in a while, and it's just like on there. I was like dying laughing out loud at so many points, and just like the actual game was exciting. The fantasy matchup was exciting. It came down to the wire. Everybody was freaking out. It was just electric, and like I think we need to do that more often.
Absolutely,
if the opportunity presents itself, and we gotta get all the guys back together. Actually, do a Sakis in person for once.
Yeah, I would love to get a Sakis in person.
Yeah, miss some of the fellas, or go just like watch a game.
That should be our goal for like the off season. It's like just everyone get here,
or somewhere.
Fuck it, we're going to Ohio. We'll see you there, James.
I don't know about that one. But yeah,
Progressive Field
it
will
is
be there.
tough, especially now that James is gone. It's like, man, connecting the dots of Ohio, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey.
Group trip to
like,
Pittsburgh, that's it.
Finding some time, it will be hard, but I think we should definitely try to do something.
Absolutely, yeah.
If not this year, at least next year for sure. Actually plan something. But yeah, the matchup was insane. I feel horrible for Steve.
Yeah, I do too. You know, a lot of false statements being thrown around by a couple other people saying
Ryan
I have
texted me, thank God Steve lost.
No.
He said, "I hate the Cran. Yes, yes. DK's my new favorite player because he beat Steve." I didn't actually get that text, but
so, you know, I've been on the end of this before, and I've also been the benefactor from this, and I could say it feels great when you get the points to win, and you're ready to die when it's not. And I do feel bad for Steve.
and in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is the playoffs. I've only been the benefactor of this scenario, I think, back in 2018, back when I had like dreams and aspirations.
I don't know. What about when you beat Griff last year?
That was a wild one because it was like the fumble Ruski play at the end,
And then
and
he
then
ended
it
up
gave
with it
Kamara yards.
because he was like the last one with it, but then they like took it away.
They took so I like lost by like 0.3, and then went to like winning by like 0.8.
Won by 1.12.
Yeah, it was something like that, where like they gave him the yards, but it was the catch that was gonna like push. I don't remember. I don't remember the full thing, but at this stage, what I was talking about before, I'm all over the place right now. 2018 playoffs, I'm taking on James. I ended up winning because back then we had kickers and defense, and I won because Traquan Smith fumbled out of the back of the end zone, and I had Carolina's defense.
Back when we had defense.
Back when we had defenses. And that got me like 3 points. I ended up beating James by like 2.9 or something like that. Because it was looking like it was over because the defense would give up points. I would lose points there. I had to bank on like, the Panthers going on like some crazy drive to end it. And then ended up not needing it that badly.
But yeah, this game was insane. It looked like Trevor had it in the bag.
Yeah.
Or it looked like a game for a second, and then it looked like Trevor had it in the bag. And then yeah, Trevor obviously touched this in the space, but Trey McBride got hurt, came back, still finished with 10 catches, 102. Debo, 2 touchdowns, just a machine. Terry, 141 yards and a touchdown out of nowhere, was just great. The only issue, Sam Howell, who Steve started, was benched and not the one hitting Terry on those. It's obviously on Trevor's side too. Like Kyron had a great game. Everybody else just kind of did all right. Pittman obviously like died. Didn't have Tyreek. Didn't have Jacobs. Didn't have Taylor. But Kyron kind of carried the load. Lamar like did enough, and then obviously AJ Brown and DK combined for enough on that last drive. It was like 3 catches for however many yards just to squeak it out. It was crazy. But again, I think I said this when we were talking about this matchup, and just a lot. Steve's got a ton of good players. I think he has like a solid team front to bottom with a good bench too. Obviously he did this without Christian Kirk, who was his best receiver for most of the year, and without Anthony Richardson, who's his probably best quarterback. But it was all going to come down to, can he start the right players? Obviously didn't with Howell getting benched. You put in either of his other 2 QBs, he gets there. You play Jerick McKinnon over Saquon. I mean, I guess you'd never do that, but even if you play him over like a Jerome Ford or Zach Moss, you get there. If you get Chuba in for Jerome Ford, you get Jacoby in over someone, you get Curtis Samuel in. It's like Steve very easily, I think if he sets his best lineup, could have put up like 160.
Yeah.
Didn't do the math, but that feels about right. And
no weekly report for us to go off of.
Yeah. It's just like I feel so bad for Steve. I think he did a great job getting this team together, found his way to the playoffs, and then really put him in a position to win. It looked like it right until the end, and then he just fell just short, and I do feel very, very bad for him. But yes, this was one of the closest matchups ever. It's in the top 10. I think I did miss one, so it's maybe like 7 or 8 or 9.
Yeah, something.
One of the closest playoff matchup ever. Just absolutely insane. I had so much fun watching, and like, it's funny because, I mean, I didn't really care who won between Trevor and Steve. Like, I wasn't playing in it, but I think this was also the most fun watching fantasy I had the whole year. Because I feel like most of my games, it was either like I'm getting killed or I was playing Evan and putting up 150. My new rival, Evan.
Apparently. Even though Evan beat you.
True, he put up 150 against me this weekend.
Yeah.
In the losers bracket.
I will not stand for this anti-anteater agenda.
I guess I'm going to have beef with you, too. But
You son of a bitch.
If we do look at the draft order, we have the top 6. Now, Jasmus's pick, owned by me, is going to be 7, and Steve's pick, owned by you, is going to be 8. So now we have the first 8 picks locked up. Trevor also, with this win, this was his 60th win. First player to 60 wins. Crazy. 60 wins is nuts.
Yeah, didn't Griffin beat him to 50 too, which is kind of...
No, he beat him to 50, but it's the same scenario of Griff is sitting at 57 with 88 games played. Trevor's played 91 and hit 60, so 88 to 91 is 3 games. So if Griff wins the championship this year and then wins his first game, he'd get to also 60 in the same amount of games, but Trevor's played more because he's made more playoffs and like gone further in. But yeah, 60 wins, crazy. That's nuts. That's Ethan has been in 61 games total. That feels wrong.
60. No, he didn't play this week.
We'll see. I might need to change that. Maybe Ethan's played more games. Something's wrong on this. Oh, I see what it is.
What's the problem?
Ethan's been in 64 games.
Okay.
I wasn't counting when he played Nate. That's what it was. But yeah, crazy. Almost as many wins as Ethan's been alive. So yeah.
As if Ethan wasn't alive until he joined the
He was
league.
born and then put right into the league.
Threw a phone in front of him. Go. Do it.
Basically. Speaking of Ethan, he's kind of getting hit by that injury bug at the worst time.
Worst possible time. I think we had Jamar Chase. Said he's going to be out.
Jamar Chase
least 2 weeks.
At least 1 week.
At least 1 week. So he's out this week.
Yeah, which could be his last week of the year.
Derrick Henry looked terrible.
True.
He was the first guy to have
Houston.
15 carries and under 15 yards.
Under 10, 9 yards. Olave was hurt last week. Does look like he's going to play tomorrow on Thursday. And Keenan Allen, still questionable, missed practice again. Feels like they might just shut him down for the year. Just because
Probably smart.
they have nothing really to play for. Trevor, the big question is...
We should probably also preface this saying Griffin did pick Zach to play.
We'll talk about that when we actually talk about the matchups. This is more about the recap.
We're recapping.
But yeah, Griff did pick Zach, so Ethan's going to play Trevor. Tyreek Hill's still questionable. Taylor had a full practice today, but they talked about still ramping him up, so who knows what that'll be. Jacobs, they said leans like he's going to play on Monday, but again, they're not completely sure. Pittman will probably be out with a concussion on that nasty hit.
Yeah, dude, that was foul.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then if you go to Zach's team, I think Ramondre maybe had a limited practice today.
I think I saw something.
No, he remained out, but they were trying to kind of get him going. Jaden Reed missed practice, so if he was thinking about that for an option, won't be there. Aaron Jones was the limited practice, who did play last week. Will he find the lineup this week? I don't know. And Griff says Mostert's questionable, but I think that's more of just a vet rest day. And yeah, it's gonna be some good matchups. I think this was pretty much chalk. We thought these two teams were gonna win. We got a little more excitement with the Steve Trevor game, but I think it was kind of looking like these four teams were the best for basically the whole year. Let's see what they do when they're put up against each other now.
Yeah, and
we could talk about that right now with the matchups.
And welcome back to matchup previews. We are here. We are going to have just the two matchups that we care about. No one gives a shit about Adam versus James and me versus
I think
Matt.
we do care about Evan going for his however many consecutive 7th place finishes.
That is fair. So,
but we actually won't really talk about that.
We'll just bring up the consolation games and the losers bracket quickly. I'm taking on Matt, I believe.
Yep. I'm taking on James. 7th place game, Evan versus Cherry. The 5th place game is
Steve Jasmus.
Steve Jasmus. And then we got the two big boys.
The two big ones that we're going to discuss. And first we'll start off with wide receiver U versus the Gladiators. Right now, Trevor is projected to win with the spread being about 16 points. I kind of agree. I feel like Ethan's team is really banged up and not ideal. Trevor Lawrence, we don't know if he's playing yet. Jamar Chase probably not out. The only solace for him, he gets Olave back, but gonna be banking on Keenan Allen playing or DeAndre Hopkins doing good. And Kelsey, I think, was hurt at the end of the game, but they said he was fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. And Trevor does have some questions himself. I like Trevor's team better in this one. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think Trevor does have some tough matchups. Lamar versus the 49ers. I think that'll probably be an amazing game on Christmas, but
Last game of the week.
Yeah, so that's what it'll all come down to. But San Fran's got a pretty good D, so I don't know how I feel about that. Kyron versus the Saints. Saints have been pretty solid versus running backs, but Kyron just goes for like 100 yards and like a touchdown, so he's kind of been a set it and forget it 20 points a week. Feel like that's probably going to happen, but that's also, again, tomorrow, where I think that'll be a big set the tone.
Absolutely. You're going to have Olave versus Kyron and Puka.
Yeah. Puka, again, also kind of struggled a little bit more last week. Seems like they kind of went more Cup's way. And then Olave, I think, has been on a pretty good stretch of games here.
Yeah. Hasn't gone below, prior to missing time, he hasn't gone below 11 since week 8.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting. Carr always seems to hate him, and then Jameis comes in and like throws a touchdown to him.
Yeah.
So who knows if that happens, but I mean, if Puka does, if it's a Puka game and he puts up 23, and Kyron also puts up 23, and Olave only puts up like 10 to 12, I think you're feeling pretty good as Trevor, and you got a big uphill climb for Ethan. Jonathan Taylor. I think this matchup really depends on who's actually going to be playing.
Yeah.
I think if Taylor plays and Tyreek plays, feel like it's really good for Trevor. If not, like, you might have to go to Jacobs or Deontay Johnson off the bench. But it's, again, like, then Deontay plays on a Saturday, so you might not know Tyreek's or Jonathan Taylor's, like, but I think Jacobs plays on Monday, so the Taylor will be fine. But Tyreek or Deontay Johnson, you're gonna have to make that decision early, rather than like sitting down to the last minute of like, oh, Tyreek got ruled out, I could put someone else in.
Yeah.
Assuming Pittman doesn't play, not many people have played right off of the concussion. And then same thing, does Keenan Allen play? I think if Keenan's in there, Keenan's been another just dominant player. That had 2 games over 42, only 1 game under 10 points. Just very, very solid. But will they just shut him down? And then when that Keenan Allen turns into a Pat Freiermuth, Darius Slayton, Rico Dowdle,
Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, maybe he gets crazy and calls Wicks off the practice squad and just plugs him into play. I don't even know how he's done fantasy-wise, but he's also questionable, remains limited at practice, but he put up 15 last week, and then 4, and then 7, so I guess it's kind of iffy. I don't know. And then I think, Henry's got a good matchup against Seattle. Diggs has a great matchup against the Chargers. Chargers just gave up 100 points. Did fire their coach, so then there's always like that boost for the players. But Diggs has 1 game over 10 points since week 10. In his last 5 games, he has 1 game over 10 points. That's not good.
No, it's not.
But if you're going up against the Chargers, those were against some tougher defenses in the Jets, Dallas, Kansas City. Will he bounce back? If we see a Diggs 30 bomb, one where him and Allen are just on the same page cooking, if Derrick Henry does find the end zone, he's had good games, a lot of good games this year. Right before that 5, he had 18, 25, and 20 with 2 touchdowns in each one. Like, clearly could still have it. It just, I don't know. Well, and he needs a Travis Kelce game.
He does.
Kelsey's had 7, 14, 12, 15, 15, 4, 11. Then those 30s and 20 games. Hasn't had a 20-plus game in a while. Needs one of those. I do think Trevor's more likely to win. Do think it could go either way. But Ethan just needs at least 2 of those guys that have been struggling to like really hit and hit well, and needs Trevor to. It's just like you look at last week, anything can happen.
Yeah.
We were like, yeah, man, Steve's got a solid team, but like, look at this Trevor team. If the same thing happens and he puts up 125, Ethan could definitely beat that. But then Trevor could also bounce back and put up 180.
We don't know. But now moving on to what I will dub matchup of the week, even though these are almost equally important games. This game, not only the second time they're playing on a federal holiday, they are also projected 50-50 chance to win, the spread being 0.97 points. It's Griffin versus Zach. This is going to be a doozy. So you kind of mentioned Allen versus the Chargers. That looks good for Griff.
Yeah.
Dak also playing Miami. Miami's defense hasn't been great. It's been, mainly their offense. McCaffrey does have a tougher matchup against Baltimore. Mixon versus Pittsburgh is also pretty tough. But then we have, the Dak CD stack. Evans versus Jacksonville. Again, we're going to have to see who plays in all of these. But
do you think he sticks with Singletary versus Cleveland? Or do you think he makes a pivot to maybe like Swift versus the Giants? Maybe a DeMario Douglas week? I don't know. I think that last spot, again, it's similar to with Steve. Griff's got a lot of solid players. Just who do you go with? Cleveland's defense has been amazing, but again, Singletary last week, 21 points. The weekend before that, 12. He's been a solid player. So do you ride that, or do you look for a better matchup? And I think that could, like Swift versus the Giants, but then Look at that. He hasn't gone over 10 points in 4 straight weeks. So, I don't know. I think it's tough. And, like, again, it's in these matchups that are so close, as we just saw with Steve, these decisions can decide the whole matchup.
Yeah.
Like, changing one guy for one guy could be the reason why you win or lose. But how would you feel if this was if you were playing this week? How do you feel sitting there on Christmas and Christmas Eve watching the game? I think it would like ruin the holiday if I lost.
Oh, absolutely. It would be the worst Christmas.
I like
ever.
wouldn't care, like, because I'd be so focused on this compared to like eating ham or whatever you eat on Christmas. Lasagna, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like ham. And, you know, keep my Italian traditions.
Okay.
What? I don't like ham.
Okay. But
And you know who else I don't like? I don't like Griff in this one. I think Zach's going to win.
this one's so close.
It's close. I just think I look and the key pieces that I see, I do like Kittle more than Jake Ferguson. I like Montgomery better than Pollard, even though the points are kind of inverse projected. And I do think that Lockett's going to have a better game than Singletary. Obviously, this can change prior to, when this video comes out. But right now, I think Zach is going to win.
It's so close matchup-wise. Like, oh, well, you got Jefferson and Amon-Ra are playing against each other. Like, they could each go for 30, just them working it against their bad defenses down the field. McCaffrey can just win you weeks. He's so good. This is another game that it's gonna be Christmas Day. It's gonna be Christmas Day at night, and you're gonna have McCaffrey and Kittle versus Ayuk to decide who wins this.
Big Niners fans that night.
Yes, or maybe not. If Griff's up,
He's just like, you know what? I don't care if Ayuk gets 0. Just
let's hope McCaffrey and Kittle also get 0.
yeah.
This one's so hard to pick. I'll go with. It's so hard to pick against McCaffrey.
It is.
That I don't think I can. But Kamara's been like the same thing. Not as good, but he hasn't gone under like 10 points all year.
Unless you count the suspended games. But yeah.
I don't. I don't know. It's going to be such a good matchup. I think I'd also maybe lean Zach and we get a rematch of the finals from last year.
Yeah,
I think that would be crazy.
That'd be something.
I think, like, all these possible matchups, like, for the championship, too. Griff versus Trevor, like, probably the 2 best teams on paper this year. Like, if Ethan is the first person to win, too, when he wasn't even in the league for the first, like, year and a half.
Yeah.
Basically 2 years, because then you were just kind of stuck with a team kind of already out of the playoffs. And then in the next 4, you won 2. It's like, what a run that's been. Will Trevor get the first? Zach going back-to-back. Griff winning the first, and then... I don't know, man.
It's going to be something, but...
I'm super excited for these matchups.
Yeah, dude. This is going to be electric. But for those of you who don't follow us on Twitter, which, by the way, check the description. You can go follow the league and all the teams if you'd like. You'll find out next week right here on Sock Talk. But I think that's going to wrap this one up. A little quick episode, but things are just getting interesting, so stick around. And we'll see you next week. Wave bye to the camera.
No.
You asshole.